Well, today I'm working on a set of earrings, cabochon. The stones are Boulder Opal, and there are other names for it, but I call it Boulder Opal. And it looks like this. But the problem is that the cuts are bad. It looks to me like this was actually one piece stone that broke, and but the customers to me like that was one oval, because the distance between here and here is quite a bit different than this one to this one, and the bevel going around these is not a nice even round bevel, so trying to use something to go around that isn't going to work very well. So I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and make these little prong sets, and we'll just cut them out and then kind of shape them just to see what we've got. I think I'll use a dangle type earring for these. I was thinking that they wanted a stud style, but I don't really think this is going to work stud wise, so that's what we're up against anyway. I wish these were a lot nicer stones. Now, the one thing that over the years I don't do is I don't do any lapidary work. I used to send it out, and I had a couple of guys that did a beautiful job for me, but unfortunately they're all gone. Either they've passed away, or they've quit the business, or they've moved away. So I only choice there is to find another lapidariist and have them reshape these, or just go ahead and set them this way. So the thing I want to do is cut these out, and I'm just going to make a flat piece of sheet metal here, and I'm not going to use bevel wire. As I said, I don't think these would look very good, and I don't have any wire that's high enough to bevel over the top of them anyway. Plus, I think it'd take away from the stone, so I chose not to. So I've made the one thing you want to try and do, even if they're not the same, is you want to cut your bases the same. I think that helps balance them out a little bit. So all you do is just saw them out, and you just keep cutting it, just like I'm doing. Broke a blade, but you got the general idea. I'll go ahead and cut this, and we'll see if we can move on to the next step. Okay, I've got them both cut out, and I've soldered a prong on this one here just to kind of get an idea whether I'm going to like that or not. So the next prong would probably be soldered right around here. And then I put two here, and that should, I'm at enough angle here, so this should keep this from sliding out of the foundation there. I think that's how I'm going to do it. And then, like I said, I think I'll make these dangles because it's a lot easier, and I'm not particularly wild about studs with cabochons. They're heavy, and I think the French earring wires will work better. So I'll make a couple of those for us, and then we'll go ahead and drill some holes and set these prongs, and I'll get back with you. The next thing I want to do is I want to get these two plates as close to each other as I can. So I use my trusty hot glue, and I just put a little dab in the middle, and we'll set this on there. Perfect. Now, what I'm going to that's accelerator. It soaks in there and gets that glue hard fast. We'll get them both done and show you how we're doing her. We'll let that set for a minute, and then I'll go ahead and shape this second plate the same as the first. I just soldered the two plates together. I'd already made one, so I used it as a tin plate for the other one. And I didn't do anything else but just solder it or file it right into place. Okay, all four are drilled. That's done. So the next step is to see about putting the prongs in. That's done. So now we've got two plates that are pretty close to each other. And you can see that I drilled 4 holes. These two holes I won't use. I use those to cut the inside of the pattern out. And the outside prongs will be soldered to the very outside of the plates, and the top prongs will be drilled in and then soldered in. So that kind of keeps everything from moving, and all the prongs will be drilled about the same, so it'll have a pretty close look to each other. Then, like I said, we'll put the dangle posts on it, and then we'll go ahead and set these and polish it and see what we have. Okay, we got the prong pushed through the hole, a little silver solder on there, and we'll just try and melt that in there without melting everything else. Now the little ball of silver, beat it up right where I wanted it to. It's right there. So I'm just going to work it back and forth, and it's in. So that's done. We'll take this, turn it around, and lost the other one. Okay. Whew. Let's go this way. There you go. Cool. 6 more solder in there, and we'll be ready to do a little more. The last 2 prongs are soldered to the outside edge. So I'm using a crutch. Working the torch on the way clear to the outside edge, and I'm watching the solder flow, nothing else. I don't care about anything else. And it, nice flow. So on to the next one. This is tedious work, but it's work that anybody could learn, and it's a wonderful little hobby, or it's a wonderful second job if you have a, if you're working a job or you're getting ready to retire. It's nice to have something like this to fall back on. So hopefully in a few months, if I'm able to keep up with this, I'll give you some tips on how to make some jewelry. I make a lot of Indian jewelry, by the way, and I sell it over in South Dakota. A gentleman friend of mine, Bob Stroop, does an awful lot of stone carving, and he does a lot of Indian style jewelry, and so I make this for him and then he distributes it for me. So it kind of works out real nice. So I spend a lot of the winter months making jewelry for him when I have time, and then I load it up, or he comes down and we send it over there and sell it all summer. This is basically what I had in mind. We got prong here, prong here, prong here, prong here. We'll set those and shape them and make them look pretty nice. And I'll probably, for safekeeping, put just a small piece of epoxy glue down underneath this, just in case, so it doesn't have a chance to wiggle or move loose. And polish it up, put some French ear wires on them, and let's see how the customer likes that. Not much else I could do with these. They're just not cut right, but it's still a custom piece, and that's what they wanted, so we'll go from there. I might fancy it up a little bit. I haven't decided yet, but I'm running out of time because I have clocks to do and a couple more pieces of jewelry, and I really don't want to work Christmas Eve. So I get these done and I'll show you the end result. Thanks for watching. Big machine on these, because if you catch it, it's going to fly out of there and who knows what's going to happen after that. So I use a little one here on this, and these are about finished. This is what you call Boulder Opal. It's kind of distinguishable by its layers. They mine this out of brown ironstone, I think. And that's why they call it boulder, because the boulders are deep under the ground and they dig it out, and then there's usually fissures of some sort, and that's where they find this Boulder Opal. And it's a dark brown because of the ironstone. Cored Opal, which is basically the same thing. Sometimes they call it Queensland Opal, and that's because it comes from a particular area in Queensland, Australia. I think this one originally was a single stone. When it came to me, it was two halves, and she wanted to know if I could make this into earrings. Normally I would have bezel set these because they're cabs, and I'd have used a silver bezel set to go around these. But because of the difference in the size, this one's larger and this one's smaller, and the cabochon wasn't finished quite right. They didn't have this very smooth around the edges, a taper. So I don't think the silver bezel wire would have really worked very well for this. And I chose to go ahead and just make a little prong back bezel, or back setting, rather than a bezel. I'll put some French ear wires in here, like these right here, and give them a steam cleaning. I don't put these in ultrasonics. I'm kind of a stickler on that. I like steam on stones like this, especially emeralds and other stones that I don't know the quality of the stone. It may be enhanced. These won't be, but I don't like to put opal in ultrasonic. So we're about finished with these, and I'll put them in an ear box and give you a picture of them. And we're going to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll catch you on the downswing. Thanks for watching, as always.